Welcome back to part 3 of the story of the trip from India to China on the Burma Road. Well, now you get to China, your destination.
Yeah.
Then what did you do?
The war was so wound down when I got to China that they put me in charge of the motor pool. So I run the motor pool.
You know, some people aren't used to some of the terminology, and so what is the motor pool?
Oh, that's where all the trucks are assembled.
Okay.
And, yeah, all in one unit. They all come into called a motor pool. All the trucks assembled in one point.
Okay.
Just like at Lido, which was a supply depot. That had thousands and thousands of vehicles and everything to fight a war was at the depot in Luchao where we got our ore in. And I had an incident there that I had it so that when the Chinese drivers came in, if they had a truck that needed to go into the deadline to be repaired, make sure that all the merchandise is off. If not, I unload it and pile it here. Well, one night, truck came in, all kinds of stuff on it. One of them was a wooden carton. Mm-hmm. It said 12 and a slash and a 5 medical supplies.
Okay.
So I looked at that and, no, that's not right. So I got a guy by the name of Corporal Cook he was a tire repairman. I said, Cook, I said, come here. I said, decipher the code on that wooden box. No, I said, I don't know what that is. I said, I think I can decode that. That's 12 fifths of whiskey. So I said, tonight, after we eat, we had a Chinese interpreter, an elderly man, spoke very good English. And it was not uncommon for us to go and visit with him in the evening. See? Uh-huh. So I said to Cook, I said, I'll tell you what we'll do. After chow tonight, we'll come back here, and you visit with him. I'll go up and throw that on my weapons carrier. Then I'll come and we'll visit with him, and when we're through, we'll go back to my tent, and I said, we'll open up that case. And sure enough, 12 bottles of Bond and Lillard whiskey.
What was the code again? It was 12,
it was 12 and a slash and 5.
5.
The same as 12 fifths.
Okay.
Of whiskey. Only it was 12 fifths medical supplies.
Yeah, it was medical, all right.
So then what we did, we sampled that one that night. Very good. And then I said, I'll tell you what we'll do with the rest of the 11 bottles. We'll take our gallon, all of us kept the gallon water jug with water, and I made my own drinking water out of halozone tablets because the Lister bag was too strong. Emptied that. We took about 4 of them. I dumped the rest of the whiskey in that. Then we went out at night, and this was still dark, and dug it down. I said, we'll save this now till VJ Day, because I knew that wasn't far away. So when VJ Day came by, we went out and dug that up and had a party that night. And then we all got our guns out, loaded them up, and shot the sky full of bullets. And our Chinese guards that were guarding our compound, they took off in all directions. We never did see them again because they didn't know that the war was over, and that's what we were celebrating. Another little thing to mention is when I was down in Kragapur, India, waiting for my ship to come in, we played a little 2-bit limit poker.
Okay. And
one afternoon after we got done playing for 2 or 3 hours, it was one fellow there, I hadn't met him before, and we just sat there in the bed. And I asked him, where were you stationed over here? He said, I was up at Luchao. I says, doing what? In the Quartermaster Corps? I said, really? He says, yeah. I says, by the way, I was in the 115-meter maintenance company, the Luchao. And I says, perchance did you happen to miss a case of whiskey? He says, I sure did. He says, the colonel had me go through every carton in the warehouse, every carton down at the airport twice. Really? Yeah. Well, I said, you're looking at the guy that took it. Caused you all that trouble.
What did he do to you?
He did nothing.
He did nothing?
No. I said to him, I said, I'm sure you shook down you know, a shakedown is to go through everybody's camp and see that you got what you're not supposed to have. And I said, well, how come you didn't shake down the 115-meter maintenance company? He said, I don't know. I said, nobody came around asking us. What
you were protected.
I had already buried in the ground.
Oh. How old were you when you went into the service and were
Well, I went in November of 41, and I got out in January of 46.
Okay.
So when I convoyed the Lido and Burma Road, I was 23 years old. 23. Yeah.
What an experience, huh?
Yeah. One thing I wished I'd done and I didn't was to keep a diary.
Yeah.
I didn't do that, and I wish I had done that. But I moved so fast in those 10 months that I was overseas. I went around the world. I went from New York to L.A., across the Pacific, all the way around, came back into New York again, and I traveled almost steady. I don't think I was in one spot over a month until we got into Luchow that I wasn't moving, so that I never even gave it a thought to keep a diary, and I wish now that I had.
Yeah.
There was a lot of things along the way that took place on our convoy from Lido, India to Luchow, China, that I couldn't even incorporate in this short length of time, that would no doubt would be very interesting, but we just don't have time to.
You know what you need to do is get a little tape recorder and just talk into the tape recorder and just talk and tell these stories. Well, thank you for sharing.
You're
This has
welcome.
been wonderful.